my apa.
많이 아파.
I don't actually remember the lines.
Apa as in pain.
많이 아파.
Yeah, mine means not very close. Strike everything I said from the record. Thank you very much. Moving on.
You're watching Movie Talk. Ganchu! I'm Jason.
Hi, I'm Pierce, and welcome. Jason, kick us off. What does kanchu mean?
Okay, it means 2 thumbs up, a recommendation. So you can say kind of, welcome to Dongmakgol, 완전 kanchu.
Absolutely. So this is kind of what we're here for. We want to share with you some of our favorite Korean films. Now, today's film, you've already kind of mentioned it, is Welcome to Dongmakgol. Welcome to Dongmakgol is a film from 2005. It's directed by Park Kwang-hyun. It stars Jung Jae-young, Shin Ha-gyun, and Kang Hye-jung. Obviously, you know it's now about the Korean War. It's set in a village called Dongmakgol. You have a US soldier that crash lands around that village, and around the same time, you have 2 deserters from the South Korean army and 3 soldiers from the North Korean army. So you have all these different people stuck here in this one place. You know, what's going to happen? That's kind of the setup.
Why watch?
It's a film that deals with North Korea and South Korea. It was one of the earlier films I watched as well, one of the earlier Korean films I watched. I'd already seen a number of films about North and South Korea, some about the Korean War, and a lot of them were great, but they're kind of, you know, they're more serious, dry films. Welcome to Dongmakgol is really quite different. It's very funny, it's got a lot of fantasy in it. It really kind of, it grabs you in a very different way, so it has a very different feeling, and it's always stuck with me. How about you, Jason?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Korean war films set during this period. Yeah, they don't tend to villainize North Korea that we've seen in older Korean films, but at the same time it's quite whimsical and fantastical, so it's quite unique in that sense.
Key scene number 1.
Is a scene early on when the North Korean soldiers are roaming around the mountain, the countryside, and they come across this unusual young woman played by Kang Hye-jung.
이쁘나?
Yeah, I love the scene. It's really fascinating because she has no idea that the Korean War is happening, and they're obviously threatening her. They've got these North Korean troops. They got these weapons, and she doesn't know what a gun is.
Doesn't she like put her finger?
Right,
in
so
the
they're
gun barrel or
completely
something?
perplexed, and yeah, it's a really touching scene, and Kang Hye-jung just plays the part so beautifully.
Key scene number 2.
North and South Korean soldiers come face to face for the first time in the village. Obviously, this is a kind of a tense standoff between them. One side is holding guns, the other side is holding grenades, and in between them, you have all these villagers who have no idea what's going on. They call the guns sticks. They think the
grenades are
potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
쇠덩이 같은데요.
You have, whenever you see the villagers, the camera is very stable and calm. And when it's just focusing on the soldiers, it's kind of shaking around like a Bourne film, like a Paul Greengrass film. And it creates this very interesting kind of contrast between something kind of placid and naive and something that's very kind of tense. For me, the meaning of the film is really encapsulated by this scene, because it's this idea of, you know, what is all this ideology? You have the ideology of North Korea and the Soviets backing them. You have the ideology of South Korea and the Americans behind them. And you have the real people, the salt of the earth people who are living off the land, and they don't know anything about this. It doesn't matter. The ideology of the war doesn't matter to them. They just need to eat. And it's just this beautiful satire.
Key scene number 3.
So we could probably just recreate the scene now, but I'm not sure I want to make a big mess for everyone else to clean up. But actually also that moment kind of sets up the rest of the narrative, because they've actually blown up the food store. And so now eventually the soldiers are going to have to help the farmers to replenish that store. So it gives them agency throughout.
Key scene number 4.
The wild boar scene, and that's the first scene in which we see them kind of collaborate, and so that they're coming together to defeat the boar, and so it's a very kind of iconic scene in the film.
At that point, they kind of realize, oh yeah, this is what's important. You know, we have to save the people and make sure everyone can eat, and yeah, that is what's important, isn't it?
Yeah, so you have that very interesting scene where you have them all eating it together.
Right, and that's very symbolic for
yeah, right, because
Korea.
eating is a very kind of communal experience in Korea.
Trivia.
We both love Jung Jin, and I think it's interesting where Welcome to Dongmakgol kind of finds itself in the canon of Jung Jin films. It's the most successful one, although he's typically been successful throughout his career.
What I love about Jung Jin is that his humor is quite dry. And if you're watching Korean films, generally speaking, I think most of the humor is quite slapstick orientated.
Yeah, I adore Jung Jin's comedy. I don't typically like normal mainstream Korean comedy, to be honest, and I'm done.
Pop quiz. What's the significance of the flowers in Kang Hye-jung's hair?
I don't know exactly, but my guess would be it's a white flower, so it's a symbol of innocence.
Where is Dongmakgol village located?
It's got to be in Gangwon province, because that's countryside on the border with North Korea.
What is this movie's alternate title?
I recall there was Battleground something. I think there were numbers behind it. Do you remember those numbers?
624?
And is that a date? Because, wait, well, hang on, because the Korean War date is 625, right?
What's Steve Teschler's name in the movie?
Well, it's going to be a generic...
Random white guy.
Random expat.
So I'm John Smith.
스미스?
All right, so Welcome to Dongmakgol is the Korean war film with a difference. It's got humor, it's got fantasy, and if you want to dig a little deeper, it's got something for you if you put your thinking cap on.
Hey. Welcome to Dongmakgol is a whimsical, heartfelt film set during the Korean War that captures the tragic nature of the conflict on the Korean peninsula.
All right, so hope you enjoyed that discussion, and if we've whetted your appetite, you can watch the film by clicking on the link down in the description below.
Welcome to Dongmakgol.
Thank you.
Hooray!